I can't start any other way than by going, holy fuck. Tyron Woodley absolutely knocked the hell out by Jake Paul. The worst Tyron Woodley's ever been knocked out ever. Jake Paul starched him. I can't believe that. The fight was so ass for 6 rounds. It was so ass. They were just clinching. They were both crowding their punches. Non-stop clinching. They were butting heads. There was no action. No real clean shots landed by either guy. It was the shittiest fight up until that point. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy the pay-per-view. Thank goodness. I streamed it illegally. No, I didn't. Dana White, don't ban that. No, it's obviously not Dana. But yeah, I streamed it illegally, and thankfully, because that fight was so terrible until the 6th round, and I'm just watching it like, what is going on? Jake Paul stands still for a moment. Woodley gives that parry reaction, and he was trying to parry. He parries like these body shots a lot. Jake Paul read it. And Jake Paul put everything into that punch and just slapped him. Face first. Wow. One mistake is all it took. I can't believe I literally jumped out of my seat. I was watching it with my dad. It was like 12:30. I jumped out of my seat and said, holy fuck. I screamed so loud. My mom woke up and thought my dad died. I was screaming so loud. I could not believe it. It just happened out of nowhere. The build up to it of like such a shitty fight, and then boom, just one punch and it's over. And the way Woodley felt, it was unbelievable. My dad looked down at his phone for 2 seconds and missed it. Crazy. I can't believe it. Unreal. Nothing else I could really say. Jake Paul bailed it out. If that went to 8 rounds, and say they like gave it to Jake Paul, because they probably would have, it would have been boring. It was boring as hell. Like, it was a terrible fight. And then Jake Paul just saves the day with that overhand right. Oh my goodness. And personally, I want Jake Paul to keep fighting MMA fighters. I know people are like, fight a real boxer. But I'm not interested in that, really. Like, the Tommy Fury fight didn't really interest me at all. I would have watched it, but it didn't interest me at all. I would like him to just keep fighting MMA fighters. That's interesting to me, because it's a guy who started training late, an athletic guy, has 3 years of boxing training, this big personality, big persona, big ego, cultivating guy. I want him to keep fighting these MMA fighters who have been fighting since, like, they've been fighting for 10, 15 years. Obviously, they haven't been boxing, but a part of MMA is boxing, and that's why it's so intriguing. Like, how much training does this big athletic kid need? And of course, he's got all the resources in the world, all the money, so he can get the best trainers, get the best facilities, all of that. But it's like, it's just so fascinating to me. And the MMA community really rallies kind of around these guys who fight Jake Paul. Even if with Ben Askren, they pretty much knew he was going to lose. Ben Askren couldn't strike for nothing. But they still rallied around him. And even with Tyron, who they didn't really like, rallied around him. I don't know. I just think it's so much more entertaining when it's an MMA guy. And there's that Dana White aspect where Jake Paul goes at Dana White, and Dana White is salty as hell about Jake Paul, like, just always ripping on him and stuff like that. Yeah, I think a couple possible options would be Anderson Silva. But, like, Anderson Silva's looked good in his last few. But if Jake beats him, which would be crazy because Anderson is a damn good boxer. A damn good boxer. But if Jake beats Anderson, then they're going to be like, oh, Anderson's old. Like, he's 46 years old. You knocked out a 46-year-old. But, like, I don't know. I'm in no way a Jake Paul fan, but you got to give him some credit for knocking out these guys. And not just winning by decision, not squeaking by, but knocking them out all face first on the canvas. You got to give him some credit for that. I don't know. Yeah, Anderson Silva, one potential opponent. I think if Nate Diaz, I think he has one fight on his contract. I'm not sure. I thought I saw something about them re-signing a deal. But if Diaz is out of his contract, that fight with Jake Paul would be huge. I would love that fight because Nate Diaz is a good boxer. A good boxer. Way better than Woodley or Askren, obviously. But he'd be the best boxer that Jake has ever faced. Like Andre Ward, former cruiserweight or super middleweight, I don't know. Andre Ward, former champion, beaten guys like Kovalev twice, and he used to train with Nate Diaz and Nick, and was like, these guys are great boxers. Like they're not out of place when they spar me. Andre Ward, obviously, saying that, not me. But yeah, sparring guys like Andre Ward and other champions, they stay in there because they're so tough, and they've got unreal cardio, volume,